cloud. That way I don't have to worry about it. So yeah, so when we're thinking about this hierarchical arrangement of human understanding, we kind of start at the very base level unit of knowledge, which is data. Not data, data. I don't actually know what the difference is. What does it mean to have data? Data, but the word data is actually plural, are facts. They're things that are true. Like, how many steps did you take today? What's your dog's birthday? What's the temperature outside? Like individual discrete facts that have no context, just it's something that is ideally true. And in today's world, we are collecting it at an incredibly exponential rate. Why isn't it advancing my slide, you silly thing? There we go. Every minute, we're collecting massive amounts of data. And to what end? Who knows? We analyze it. It's like grocery stores use data. And then
we become as data.
they know, like Target knows that you bought one thing with another thing, and they use that information to build other models. So data is just this incredible collection of things that we've found out, just like true statements about the world. But what they don't do is inform how we should act. I mean, except in the very short term. Like knowing what the temperature is, well, what does that mean? How can I use that information? And I think intuitively, you know that, like, oh, if it's too cold, I should wear a coat. But that's not something that's like intrinsic to the fact that it's 32 degrees outside. That's something that we infer after the fact. The fact that it is 32 degrees means nothing to us until we put it in some sort of context. Like, oh, what is the comfortable temperature at which a person wants to exist? Do some people maybe don't like wearing a coat when it's only 50 degrees? They just wear a sweater or whatever. But some people, like, I knew a guy. I moved to Colorado. I knew this guy from Hawaii. He was my dad's cousin, and he came with us when we moved from Hawaii to Colorado. And it was like January in Colorado is like, I don't know, October in Minnesota. And this guy would wear like a full-length Carhartt bodysuit, fully insulated and padded, because he could not handle the cold, because he lived in Hawaii his entire life. And he just could not handle that cold. They ended up giving up and moving back. Just did not like how cold it is. It's like my dad's cousin. He's a good guy. He's a Hawaiian dude. Like native Hawaiian. So the next step up. So what do we do with data? Like, how does it inform how we exist? This is the step that this course this is actually the level that this course is on, in this sort of like this model of human understanding, is the information level. This course is right here. We're an information technology class. So information, never trust information you get in the form of a meme.
Best ones.
We do get a lot of our opinion. I think memes do actually influence people's opinions, and I'm not entirely certain that that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So data that has been given context and structure is information. Like, now that I know how I feel at 50, like that I like my house at a certain temperature, then I can act on that. Or if I like to be at a certain comfort level when I go outside, I know how to dress. We know when we should wear a coat when we go outside. It's been called data that changes us. This is Nicholas Henry, is a famous educator. He said, this is when you take data and it does something to us, that is information, according to him. So this is the part of this hierarchy that this course focuses on, but we're gonna go a couple of steps up the ladder just because I think it's important to have that higher level context. So what is knowledge? How does knowledge become part of this whole story? I like this Stephen Hawking quote, "The greatest enemy of knowledge isn't ignorance, it's the illusion of knowledge, thinking you know something even though you don't." They call it the Dunning-Kruger effect. That's kind of a big one these days. This is when you got Donald Trump claiming to be an expert in everything in the world, and it's like, you can't be. Everybody has to admit their ignorance. I will try to keep the Trump bashing to a minimum, but sometimes I can't help myself, especially if it's relevant. So knowledge is when we take information and compile it. We frame it. We frame information with our experience, our values, other contextual information like what's going on right now, expert insight, and then kind of grounded in a sort of like intuition about the world. So we now have a framework for evaluating and incorporating new experiences and information, and so it allows us to not only have a deeper understanding of the world, but it also allows us to bring in new information and incorporate that into our like world model. So that's kind of the idea of knowledge. There's actually philosophers have kind of divided knowledge into three different kind of categories. Explicit knowledge is knowledge that has been articulated, like knowing that the like now I can't think of an example. Explicit knowledge is knowledge that has already been articulated, like you know how to cure a particular disease or something like that. Tacit knowledge is knowledge that can't be articulated. It's like, how do I recognize someone's face? Like, I can't explain that. I can't explain how I can look at you and recognize you as the person that I've met before. I'm pointing at you guys. I'm gonna move the camera over so it looks like I'm actually looking at you guys when I say that. Tacit knowledge is this like more ephemeral thing that we don't really understand. Like, we don't know. I can't tell you how I can like pattern recognition and stuff like that. I can't explain things. Something I can't explain, but I know. It's a little bit more difficult to nail down. And then implicit knowledge is knowledge that can be articulated but hasn't. So like, we don't yet know how to cure the coronavirus. So that would be like implicit knowledge. There may very well be a way, we just don't know what it is. So we gather this knowledge, from many, many different sources, from all over, from all of our senses, from all of our experiences, and we compile it with all of our world experiences, the values that we hold, and then the context in which we exist. So it's like information made useful. It sometimes is called like know-how. And then on the top of our little pyramid here, we have wisdom, which I think there's not a culture in the world that doesn't have some sort of like something to say on the topic of wisdom. In Anishinaabe, we have the beaver, Nibwakawin, which is the feeling of loving knowledge. If you love knowledge, then you can know wisdom. Some philosophers have called it like know why. Like, I know how, but now I know why. I have this more deeply intuitive understanding of the world. Integrated knowledge, sometimes what it's called. Information that's been made super useful instead of just useful. It's knowledge is the result of a college degree, okay? But wisdom is the result of gathering both knowledge and experience, like world experience, and seeing what the world has to offer. You can get some wisdom from college, but
like a lifetime would be
yeah. You don't usually think of a young person as wise. I'm not saying you guys aren't wise in your ways, but we always look to our elders for true wisdom. I'm not entirely certain I'm a wise person all the time. it isn't even necessarily understanding the world around us. It's like actively trying to understand the world around us. There was which one is it? Yeah, some people call it common sense, but common sense is like not actually all that common. This one I like: the ability to make sound judgments and decisions apparently without thought, like not just making judgments and decisions, but making sound, solid, good judgments without even really thinking about it. I think that's part of it. So it's like a way of coming to terms with our place in the cosmos. So that's that one. I'm gonna pause the recording. So yeah, so this is our framework, and like for what it's worth, again, the place where we're at in this class is is my laser pointer working here? There it is information. So the information technology is solidly at this level. We can use data and we can create knowledge, but most of what we're doing is kind of rooted at this kind of level of this model of human understanding. So I'm going to stop this recording and